Okay, so I have to admit, I had a bit of a freak out the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just restocking my cleaning supplies, right? Grabbing my usual carpet cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what possessed me, but I glanced at the ingredients.
Interesting.
And that's when I saw it, 2-butoxyethanol.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, what is this?
Right.
Some kind of sci-fi movie situation?
It sounds like something out of a lab.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, of course, I had to go down the rabbit hole.
Uh-huh.
And I found this YouTube video called, Your Cleaning Chemicals May Be Causing Severe Harm to Your Health. So it's kind of the jumping off point for our deep dive today.
Yeah, sounds like a good one.
And I'm really curious to hear your take on this whole thing.
Absolutely. Let's unpack it.
So one of the first things that caught my eye in the video was this whole thing about 2-butoxyethanol being an emulsifier.
Right.
And honestly, I had to kind of rack my brain like, what is an emulsifier again?
Yeah, it's not something we think about every day.
No, not at all.
So think about it like this. You know how oil and water just don't mix?
Right, they separate.
Exactly. An emulsifier like this 2-butoxyethanol is like a little bridge that lets them blend together.
Okay.
So you get a nice smooth solution instead of that weird separation.
Huh. So it's like a peacemaker for liquids.
Haha, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It helps create those stable mixtures we see in so many cleaning products.
That makes sense. So, I mean, it sounds like it has a purpose.
Right.
But then the video goes on to say that 2-butoxyethanol might not even be essential anymore. Like there are other options out there, but companies are still using it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Why would they do that, right?
Exactly.
It makes you wonder.
Well, sometimes it boils down to cost effectiveness for manufacturers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It can be cheaper to stick with what they already know
Huh. I see.
than to go through the whole process of reformulating with something new, even if it might be safer.
Wow, so it's like a business decision.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
But it does raise the question of transparency for consumers.
Right. Like, do we really know what we're getting into? Exactly. And that's a big part of what we're trying to unpack here.
Totally. And speaking of getting into things, this is where I started to get really concerned.
Okay.
The video talks about some pretty serious health risks associated with 2-butoxyethanol,
Right.
like liver and kidney damage, even potential blood cell damage.
It can be quite potent.
And then there's more immediate stuff like headaches and dizziness.
Those are often the first signs your body gives you.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a warning system.
Wow, I had no idea.
It's trying to tell you something's not quite right.
That's actually pretty scary.
Yeah, it's important to pay attention to those signals.
Okay, so let's say you get those headaches or dizziness. Does that mean the damage is already done?
Well, not necessarily. It highlights the difference between short-term exposure and long-term accumulation of toxins.
Oh, I see.
Short-term symptoms, like those headaches, they usually go away pretty quickly.
Right.
But even if you don't feel them anymore, that doesn't mean the chemical is completely out of your system.
So it could still be building up over time.
Exactly. And that's where long-term problems can develop.
Okay, so how do we even know what to look for? I mean, besides those immediate symptoms.
That's where safety data sheets come in, or SDS for short.
Ah, SDS sheets.
Yeah. I know they sound super technical,
A little bit.
but trust me, they're worth checking out.
So what are they exactly?
Think of them like super detailed instruction manuals for handling chemicals safely.
Hmm.
They list all the potential hazards, first aid measures, safety precautions, you name it.
Wow. So it's like the ultimate guide to understanding the risks.
Exactly. And especially with something like carpet cleaner that you're using regularly in your home.
Right. Makes sense.
You want to be extra careful.
Totally.
Yeah.
So where can you even find these SDS sheets?
Usually you can find them online. Just search for the product name in SDS.
Okay.
Or you can contact the manufacturer directly. They're required to provide them.
Good to know. So, okay, let's say we've checked the SDS sheets. We know what we're dealing with. What's the solution here? The YouTuber suggests switching to food-based cleaners.
Yeah, that's a common suggestion.
But, I mean, am I supposed to be cleaning my carpets with lemons and baking soda now?
Haha. Well, it's not quite that simple.
Right.
It's tempting to think that anything natural is automatically safe.
Yeah, I can see that.
But even plant-based ingredients can have their own downsides.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Some essential oils, for example, can be really irritating.
Huh, interesting.
So the key takeaway is to do your research on any ingredient, whether it's natural or not.
Okay.
And always check the SDS sheet for the full picture.
You got it. So I guess the big takeaway from all of this is read those labels, decipher those SDS sheets, and don't just blindly trust whatever's on the shelf.
Exactly. You have the power to make informed choices about what you bring into your home.
Come check us out at magicwandcompany.com.